Hello, welcome. This is sort of an introductory to get you guys. Welcome to class CH203. My name's Kevin Cantera. I'll be professor for this short 6-week online compressed schedule course. So look at the syllabus, look at the course modules. Everything happens in Canvas. Obviously, contact me with any questions. And the best way to get a hold of me is through Canvas. Everything should be pretty straightforward. Week by week, since this is 6 weeks, it's a real shortened class. So there's lots of reading and writing every week. So plan on that. Really quickly, I want to talk about the materials. First of all, the two books, 500 Years and of Sagebrush and Slot Machines. Those are made specially for students in Nevada, so they're not widely available, and I believe you have to get them through the bookstore, and they're not available anywhere else. So apologies there, and hopefully it's not too expensive. That's just the way this course is set up. It's materials designed for this class in Nevada higher education. Those are also, just so you know, those are collections of primary source documents. A primary source document is a document considered to be like a first-hand account of a historical event. So when you're reading here, you're reading people on the scene who recorded whatever happened, often much later, and often with, their certain agenda in mind. So always keep that in mind as you read these sources. The third is the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave. This is my edition. You can use any edition of this book, and in fact, because this book is old, it's in the public domain as far as I know, which means you can probably just find it an Adobe file online somewhere for free. So any version of that, like for instance, this version has introductory text and commentary. The book itself is very short. That will be the topic of week 2. Week 2, you have fewer actual assignments, but the one book report is longer than the other essays. And let me just discuss that really quick then too. So each week you will have a series of readings from 500 Years. A couple of readings of Sagebrush and Slot Machines, and for all of those you'll be writing typically 3 essays a week, and then an online quiz. And the online quiz are short answer. I really don't need more than a sentence or two answer. The quizzes are just sort of like checkups on the reading from 500 Years. And then week 2 is a little different, because you have some readings from 500 Years, nothing from Sagebrush and Slot Machines, and the other reading for week 2 is Frederick Douglass, and you'll be writing a book report, which is a longer form essay. Also, each set of 2 weeks is a discussion. So there's discussion 1, which runs week 1 and 2, discussion 2, which runs week 3 and 4, and discussion 3, which runs week 5 and 6. Get into those discussions as early as possible and come back a couple of times over the course of the 2 weeks it's open. Don't wait till the end of the last week to get involved in the discussions, because you'll lose credit for that. You won't get as many points. And then the other thing to mention is week 6 is a little different, because instead of any other reading, the only thing I want you to read that week is the U.S. Constitution and the Nevada State Constitution. And all of the assignments, including the essays and the quiz, come from those 2 constitutions. One of them is your 3 essays that week are, one is to compare and contrast the 2 constitutions, and then to pick something from each one that you feel is up for debate or, subject to multiple interpretations, and analyze it as such. And then the quiz that week, that's the one week where you don't even need full, complete sentences. I'm just testing you on some pretty basic facts about both constitutions. Okay, I think that's all the info I need to set you up in the course. Again, if you have questions, contact me as soon as possible. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is all of the material is up and running, so feel free to move ahead. I'm going to focus on grading and turning around your assignments within a day, day and a half, as soon as you turn them in. So if you want to get those first essays turned in, within a day or so, then you can see my feedback, because one thing I will do as much as possible is give you feedback on what I'm looking for versus what you turned in, so that for the next set of essays you can take that information. And then I just wanted really quickly to talk about the very first week here. Week 1 is a lot about what we call American exceptionalism, American imperialism. The notion of American exceptionalism is often conveyed by this painting you see on the screen, which is called American Progress, painting from the 1880s, and it's basically an allegory of the United States moving west from and bringing so-called civilization, and obviously you can tell by the picture, white civilization, to America. A lot of people think America, didn't become an imperialist nation until the late 19th century, when we annexed Hawaii and we took over the Philippines and Guam and Puerto Rico, etc. But actually, if you consider it, America's been an imperialist nation from the very beginning, because we conquered the entire continent and drove off most of the population. So imperialism occurred, it just occurred here on the continent as we went from 13 colonies on the eastern coast to dominate the entire land in between the two oceans. You can see this in this map, right? Here's the original 13 colonies. Here's the original territory won in the War of Independence. Florida comes in a little bit later from Spain. The Louisiana Purchase is sold by Napoleon to Thomas Jefferson in 1803. Texas was a own story because it launched a war with Mexico. Here's Texas. So Texas declared its independence from Mexico, wanted America to annex Texas, which means bring Texas in as part of the country, and that didn't happen for about 10 years, and so Texas remained an independent republic for between 1836 and 1845-ish, when the Mexican War begins. And the Mexican War leads to all this territory being ceded from Mexico to the United States, and that included California. It also allowed for expansion, as I said, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific. So this is American imperialism. This is America taking over a continent. And then this notion of American exceptionalism is this idea that America, as founded with its Constitution and grounded in institutions of democracy and Republican government, is somehow special and something the world has never seen, and something that American institutions should be spread around the world. So that's that. And then also involved with that, obviously, as people are pouring into California, suddenly, really within a year of the end of the Mexican War and California becoming part of the United States, the gold rush happens. And within months, literally months, the San Francisco, for instance, Sacramento, these turned from little villages into towns of thousands and soon cities of tens of thousands as people move into California. First drawn by gold, but then they stick around because the land is as fertile as anything they've ever seen in their life. As part of that, this imperialism continues, and there was a systematic attempt to wipe out the native inhabitants of California. The government actually funded the genocide of natives in California. And keep that in mind as you read these documents, sort of the dark side of what we call American exceptionalism. This is the victor of the Mexican War, Zachary Taylor, who became president he was elected president in 1848 as a sort of war hero. This is how his opposition characterized him. His claim to fame was he was a imperialist murderer in Mexico. Another dark side to all this imperialism is, as this is going on, you have slavery and non-slave states, and all this territory has to be organized as either a free state or a slave state. And so, like California comes in as a state in 1850 under the Compromise of 1850, but really what this compromise did is just convinced everybody that there was sort of no way that free America and slave America were going to be able to get along for very long. So this is the beginning of the move, and then again, Kansas-Nebraska Act. Throughout the 1850s, the split between North and South just becomes greater and greater. And then in 1860, Abraham Lincoln is elected president, and the response by the South is to secede, and that's how the Civil War begins. So keep all that in mind as you're reading this, that's sort of the arc of American imperialism / American exceptionalism, at least through the 19th century. Okay, welcome to class, and look forward to the 6 weeks we got ahead of us.